Inside Running brought to you by Winning Rupert, whose progeny continue to excel on the racetrack. To get that winning feeling, find Rupert at geiselpark.com.au.
5 degrees out there, punters, at the moment in the Perth area, heading for a fine sunny 21-degree day, but racing is at Pinjarra, where they share the same forecast. It is 2 minutes after 8 and Inside Running underway now with the Belmont Guineas program. Good morning, Digby Beacham.
A very good morning to you, Matt. Listeners, great to be here on this Saturday morning. As you said, Matt, Belmont Guineas Day down there at Pinjarra. It's going to be a beautiful day. We've had some cold weather again in this part of the world, and I dare say in the Peel region as well. As I say, a very good morning to Scott Embry and Taylor Courtland. Scott, I think we've seen stronger Belmont Guineas, but in saying that, the top end of this edition is pretty good.
I would agree and disagree. I mean, Belmont Guineas is nothing compared to WA Guineas year in, year out. But then you say that, we've also got the WA Guineas winner in the lineup. You've got a horse that's 2 from 2 undefeated, being opportunistic, who looks like he could evolve into anything across the space of his career. And Elite Missile's always shown that he's right there, same as Earthstorm, right there on the edge of those sort of bigger, better races, and potentially even a real emerging X-Factor runner in Fifth Essence. I don't think anyone really knows what his ceiling could be, because he just is still doing so much wrong, yet getting the job done against the older horses. Big step for him today, but I probably think that it's still a very competitive race which will hold up as a form reference.
Well, historically it has, TC. As I say, good morning to you. When you look at the previous winners, we're talking Love and War, Rusty Dreams, Devoted, She's a Charmer, KC, Mystery Miss, State Prosecutor, Variation, Great Shot, Tradesman. There's been some seriously good winners of this race.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully we're able to see the winner or the place getters from today maybe go on, and I think we spoke about it on Friday, Diggers. We just need that sort of emerging 3-year-old turn 4-year-old to take grasp of our open class racing, maybe around those middle distances. So hopefully 1 or 4 of these horses are able to go on and maybe make their presence felt in a railway or some group races later on in the year. So hopefully this is a stepping stone for that.
A fortnight ago, a lot of these horses met in the Raconteur on a shifting Bunbury surface. They're going to be back on top of the ground today, Scott.
I think that's the best part about today's race, and probably the most interesting part about dissecting that Raconteur Stakes is because we went in there thinking that Storyville was well placed, even under set weights and penalties. You compare the pair, she's extremely well suited today under the set weights of the Belmont Guinea, so she gets huge weight on Opportunistic and also on Elite Missile. But I think for her too, she just never looked comfortable watching that replay. Willie Pike gave her every possible chance, but she was just reluctant to really stretch out. But I thought in the last 75 metres, she was coming again and maybe just getting a little bit of confidence into her footing, whereas today on a good 4, watching her first up run at Pinjarra when she flashed home behind Love and War at 1,200 metres, ran the fastest last 6 against the older horses. I think today's where we learn a lot about where Storyville's at.
It's a funky meeting and review, that Bunbury one, because early on you couldn't really make too much ground, and then whether it was the wind or the track dried up or whatever happened, they all started making their runs down the middle of the track like Elite Missile, Opportunistic later in the day, and you couldn't really win if you were down on the fence. So it was a really funky meeting and review, and I wouldn't be surprised if some horses really flipped their form around from a fortnight ago coming into today at Pinjarra.
Looking forward to having a really good dissection of the Belmont Guineas later this morning, but overall, your thoughts on this card today, TC?
Geez, after doing the form for some of the races, I needed to lay down. There's a fair few form lines and horses going around, but there's a few at each way odds. I think if you find 2 or 3 winners, you'll be rewarded today. I think you would come out in front.
There's one race there, Scott, which is, I think it's the Grad 13, and it is wide open.
$7 the field?
Yeah, like that's something that you see sometimes in carnival days.
Well, up until half an hour ago, before some money came for Dracana, the last was $5.50, $6 the field.
Yeah.
There, and I'll make the case probably later on. It'll be the talking point about our Paladinal and the price point that he's got into, but him aside, that Grad Mile is each way the field.
Yeah, he looks to be a little bit of unders to me. But anyway, we'll chat about that a little bit later. Matt, we might just hook straight into this if we can.
Okay.
And we start with race 1 today, which is the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap down the straight.
First leg of the first quad, 290 into 245, Lord Shiva. Let's talk 330 now, 310. 18, Paddy's Flying. Empress of India's at 9, in from 11. 17, Go-Go Grommet. Frantic War, 23, out to $7.50 from $5, Mi Augusto. The Great Hoya at 18, and both Get Out Mick and If I Didn't Have a Dime, 41.
TC, we've got two horses in the market here. One, Lord Shiva's drawn barrier 1. The other horse, the second favourite, that being Let's Talk, barrier 10.
More often than not, you just side with Let's Talk under those conditions. I think it's a two-horse race. I come into this doing the form thinking either Lord Shiva or Let's Talk will win. I like the fact that Lord Shiva gets back on top of the ground, and looking through his form, he's been down the straight there at Pinjarra. He ran second to Talkin' Gibberish, which Talkin' Gibberish is no slug whatsoever, so that form is okay for a race like this. But going through the horse's form, I sort of just put his previous life behind him. I think he's just a different horse with Mitch Pateman, whether it be the being trained on track or the training regime. He seems to be loving it whatsoever, albeit coming out of 2 Class 3 victories. Scott, both have been pretty dominant.
But against lesser opposition than racing against even just a Let's Talk, just in a head-to-head. First up, he's beaten Anna Ballistic. 50% share in her went through the Inglis online sale during the week, and someone paid $2,500 for half a horse. So there's not a huge future expectation on Anna Ballistic. And then last time out, beat Strictly Cash, who's sort of been around that Class 1, Class 2 mark for quite a long time. And the third horse was He's Angelic, who the Pierce brothers have sent to Kalgoorlie tomorrow. So it's more about trusting in the manner in which he won and the time that he's running as opposed to what he's been beating.
Are we thinking that these two will head up the field here?
Yep.
And so basically you're going to have Lord Shiva on the near side of Let's Talk.
I think that's what Holly Watson's plan would be.
Yep.
A bit like Rodchenko and Celestial Storm.
Interesting part for me, and I doubt that they would do it considering it's straight racing, but every time they've had the opportunity, they seem to have sat on Let's Talk if the opportunity's there to follow one. Like they did first up when he was backed into $1.60. They handed up from an inside barrier. Surely you don't give away the outside fence advantage.
You'd think that you've got a fast horse who's going to lob in a spot where you want to be, and there you've got clear air, TC. Yeah,
and you'd think it'd improve from that last start effort down there at the Pinjarra Straight. Second time down the straight should improve, and I think 1,200 back to 1,000 probably doesn't suit a horse like that, so a little bit of a freshen, 28 days between runs. I think they're all ticks for Let's Talk, but I've landed with Lord Shiva on top, despite Gate 1, hoping that's not too much of a disadvantage. Just love the manner in which he's been winning his last 2 starts. Hopefully he can go on with that, and Mitch Pateman on the hour of power, he couldn't have given the horse a stronger push yesterday. 2, Let's Talk, and then I think there's a little bit of a gap back to 4, Empress of India, and 3, Paddy's Flying, but I thought Lord Shiva around that 245, currently 250, looked one of the better bets of the day.
I'm normally anti-horses that draw the wrong side of the straight, but the exception to the rule is when they've got the speed to get themselves across. And so if you think that in the first 200-300, Holly Watson can get herself to one horse off the outside fence, all of a sudden the barrier hasn't made that much of an impact to them. 1, Lord Shiva, 2, Let's Talk. There's no doubt that third placing behind Prospector's Pick and On Plein Air is stronger form lines, and he's got the outside fence, but Lord Shiva, this preparation's just been a whole different beast. 3, Paddy's Flying. David Harrison's horses go exceptionally well down the straight, so expecting an improved performance from him. And 4, Empress of India, who's returned in good order. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm very similar to you two, gentlemen, but I am 1, 2, 3, and I've got the Great Hoya in off the back of an excellent trial and fast time. First up today, 1, 2, 3, and 8 for myself, Matt.
So Taylor has gone 1, Lord Shiva, 2, 4, 3. Scott's numerically 1 through to 4, and Digby with 1, Lord Shiva, 2, 3, and 8. The second race on the program at 1:19, and it's the Integra Insurance Brokers Plate over 1,200. 5 is out into 440 Baby Pearl. Our Naughty Secret 26 into 850 Monte Tremezzo. Marduza 260. $12 written words. Cape Lewin at 14, 26 Radiant Light. Tactical Magic 23, $9 now for LV. Zali's Gift at 12, 71 Golden Grey. Search and Times 23.
Okay, Scott, this is continuing a trend, which is a good trend, of some good competitive 2-year-old racing as we approach the 3-year-old season for these babies.
There's a lot of use of the word good in that sentence, and a couple of good ones in this event. I think Mardusa's better than average. I think Baby Pearl's better than average. Monte Tremezzo trialled like a filly that will continue to go well, and I was so impressed. And the sectionals back up the eye with the debut performance of LV. She was huge. For a 2-year-old to be sent out on debut at 1,300, not 12, not 11, not 1,000, to lead at the sectionals that she produced behind Playing It Sweet, who's won again since, and Too Darn Stormy, who there was a huge rap on. I'm not tipping into LV, but at the price that she's holding up, she's very attractive as an each-way proposition.
Bannard came out of that race last week and ran well.
Well, I am tipping into LV. I know everyone uses a sort of different data point and software and all that to measure up their performances, but on the data that I use, LV's performance last start was the best of any horse in this field.
Right.
That was on debut at 1,300 metres, as Scott touched on. Probably wasn't entitled to get as close to Playing It Sweet on the back of the sectionals that she was able to run out in front. She was entitled to tire over 1,300 first up. Back to 12, I think, suits. And I really like the fact that 3 weeks between runs. If you're on debut and you have a tough run like that, it's pretty tough to back it up.
Yep.
3 weeks between runs, I think, is a little bit more suitable.
What do we do with Baby Pearl here, Scott? Because we saw Baby Pearl not be all that cleanly away at Bunbury, but he found the top and was decent enough at the back end of the 1,000.
Well, I certainly don't think if he was crossed by LV at the end of his race, but I think that they'll be pretty keen to muster through and hold the filly out, which is also why potentially I'm not quite as excited about her as what I could have been. Swap the barriers, swap the tip for me.
Yep.
But I just came to the view that if Baby Pearl and LV settled 1-2, they roll along at a really genuine clip, and what it means for Mardusa is very similar to First Up.
Yep.
Now, First Up, he beat Flash Dancer, who had no luck next starts at 3 and 4 deep the trip, but then in behind them was also a horse like Buckled, who's just going, and so he has to elevate Mardusa from what he's beaten at Northern. But if he leaves that gates just a little bit cleaner, or he musters through, you could get a scenario where Baby Pearl and Mardusa both don't step that well, yet both of them muster into similar positions. If Mardusa can stalk the speed behind Baby Pearl and LV, he just looks like the map horse to me. So 4 Mardusa, 10 LV, sectionally huge on debut, 1 Baby Pearl, very nice horse in the making, 3 Monty Tremezzo, not sure where she gets to, but her debut win at Ascot was really good, and her recent trial was quite impressive. 4, 10, 1 and 3.
Okay, 4, 10, 1 and 3 for Scott in race 2 TC.
Yeah, same numbers, different order. Number 10 on top for me, LV. I didn't think she'd lead. I think they'd be pretty keen to hold up on Baby Pearl, but if she did find the front, I think she's a much better chance than a $9 chance on Tab Touch that I'm looking at. Number 1, Baby Pearl. Number 4, Mardusa, clearly the map horse. And 3, Monty Tremezzo. Echo everything Scott said. The trial was very good. Clearly the map and positioning run is the query. 10, 1, 4 and 3.
10, 1, 4 and 3 for you. 4, 10, 1, 3 for Scott. I am 4, 10, 1, and my point of difference here being the 6 written words, who trialled alongside Mardusa on May 26, went to Bunbury, was in the market and just held up behind a couple of horses when Sound of Speed was off and gone, was unable to build. I think the step to 1,200 metres is going to work in his favour. But good competitive 2-year-old race. 4, 10, 1 and 6 for myself, Matt.
Scott is 4, Mardusa 10, 1, 3. Taylor is 10, that's LV, 1, 4, 3. Digby with 4, Mardusa to beat 10, 1 and 6. Third race is at 6 minutes to 2. Tab Touch supports Pinjarra Park. Handicap over 1,200. Take out 1, take out 2. We start with 3. Sisu Warrior into 16. 61 Beads. Hanchy now at 480. 460 for Super Session. Cool Memory now sitting at 5. $10 Malkar Pindari. Snow Prince into 850 and 310 now for Celestial Storm.
It's fair to say this race lost a little bit of its lustre when repossession came out yesterday, TC.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think the biggest winner from that was Celestial Storm. I was pretty hard against her in this race just from a map perspective. I wasn't too sure where she was going to get with repossession, was able to show a little bit of speed, and then from what we saw last start from Cool Memory, I suspected they'd be pretty keen to hold up from that inside draw and get on speed for a tough galloper like him. But now, still 1,200 metres. First time Celestial Storm's been over that trip here in WA for Luke Fernie. That still has to be somewhat of a question mark, but she's going to get a much more comfortable run and a better chance to run that out now that repossession isn't there.
Are you comfortable with the mare at 1,200 here, Scott?
I think I am. And she's a winner previously at 1,200, but again, I am with TC. If she has to breeze, which looks the position for her quite clearly now, does it not? Parks up outside of Cool Memory. It makes her life tougher. I think that's probably at the end of her preferred distance range.
Hanchy, how's he going?
He's clearly going very well.
Yes. Are we concerned at his racing pattern and where he lobs here?
I'm a little bit concerned too that it's Hanchy, and he seems to find a little bit of bad luck.
Yeah.
Today from barrier 3, tracks up in behind them. His last 50, 75 metres behind Rachanko and Celestial Storm was elite down the straight.
What do we do with Cool Memory second up?
I'm a little bit disappointed in all of us for letting Cool Memory get under the guard first up.
Righto.
At $26. Because and it's easy to say in hindsight, but the first up run last prep, very stiff behind Generosity, and the runner-up was Joker's Grin.
Yeah.
And we've let him go around at $26.
No, $26 today.
He can win again.
Yes. What about Super Session, TC? How are you viewing this campaign? Talking of horses who finding it a little bit hard to win, I thought he had a bit to give the other day, but just saw no daylight until it was too late. 14 back to 12 today.
Yeah, going really well. Lost a little bit of his form there for a little bit. Super Session, he burst onto the scene, and we thought he might get to greater heights even to this, possibly, but if he's able to go there today, he's going to get a beautiful run from gate number 4. Lucy clearly gets on with him. Go back 2 starts ago, 1 length off Love and War. That form's certainly good enough for this, and then last start just put a line through it.
And
never
that's
really
that multinational Sky High form reference which held up last week, Scott.
And probably Super Session would have been a horse that would have liked repossession in the race for that little bit of extra tempo and a little bit of pressure up front where Lucy could sit midfield and zap them late. Unfortunately, probably doesn't look like that's going to work out for him at this stage.
But remember, 3 starts ago, he drew 8 of 8 and ended up in the breeze. So he's actually jumping and travelling quite well. And so for his next 2 outings, he's then drawn 8 of 13, gone back, 11 of 15, gone back. Today, from 4, you could see a world in which Super Sessions nearly 1-1 in this. So I thought this was quite an open race now without repossession. I'm going to go with Hanchy, but I've got my reservations because he can find traffic. 10 Celestial Storm in for second, but I've got my reservations about her running 1200 from the breeze. 7 Cool Memory can win, but again, got my reservations on a good 4. He likes a bit of sting out.
More reservations than Caravan Park at the moment.
And 6 Super Session.
Yes. Any reservations?
14 back to 12.
Hasn't won for over 400 days.
Yeah, so it's become not a race for mine, in which one, in a race I was very keen to be in with repossession. 5, 10, 7, 6.
5, 10, 7 and 6 for Scott Taylor.
Well, with repossession in the race, I actually had Hanchy on top, so I'll stick that way. I think from gate number 3, just Keshel Jura needs to get him to jump, and if he's close enough, if he's able to finish off the race at 1,200 metres like he did last start at 1,000, I think he'll be awfully hard to beat. The last time he was at 1,200 metres was a little time ago, but ran second to Storm Chaser. I think that's good enough form to be playing a part here, to beat 6 Super Session, who's probably going to find himself in a similar spot in run to Hanchy. Number 10, Celestial Storm, and then number 7, Cool Memory. But number 5, Hanchy on top for me, and I think at around that $5 will get me.
Okay, popular set of numbers, same 4 for I, albeit in a different order. I've sided up here with Super Session. He hasn't won for in excess of 460-odd days, but I think we can disregard that most recent effort when 9th or 15th behind Love and War. The runs prior to that were good, small field, has got a turn of foot, that we know. So thinking also at his preferred trip today, the 1,200 metres. So 6 on top from 5, Hanchy going particularly well. 10, Celestial Storm, a speed reference, along with the 7, Cool Memory. 6 on top from 5, 10 and 7.
Hanchy, $4.80 at the moment. The tip from Scott, number 5, 10, 7 and 6. Taylor also with 5 to beat 6, 10 and 7, and Digby is with Super Session also for 80, number 6 to beat 5, 10 and 7. It's now 21 after 8. We'll take a look at the next couple in a sec.
Welcome back to Inside Running for Winning Rupert, standing at Geisel Park Stud for $6,600.
You ought to make it stick together. Come on, stick together.
Welcome back to Inside Running. You're with Digby, Beacham, Taylor, Courtland and Scott Embry. It is 23 minutes after 8 o'clock and we are up to race 4 here at Pinjarra on Belmont Guineas Day. Matt McDermott.
Thank you, Digby. And Snazzlays at $10 from 12, 91 Rudyard, Cosmic Chaos at 18, 17 Romeo, More Than Enough 15, Inner Point to 550 Acadia Park, Mojo's Luck at 20, $11 Amjad, take out 9, 10 Rally the Troops into 950, 480 into $3 Our Paladin Al, Bondi Bay and My Idol both 13, 51 No Peer, Rosie Can Run at 41.
Okay, our Paladin Owl stepping up in grade, but heads up the Tab Touch market at $3 here, Scott.
Very well supported, isn't he? In a race where I thought you could make a case for any number of them. But at the same time, how often do we see it? Progressive 3-year-old taking on the older horses, especially in a graduation, they do invariably go well. So it's a nice bit of placement by Russell Stewart. He was nommed for the Belmont Guineas. They've elected to not take on the best of the winter 3-year-olds and instead find the same distance against the older horses and carry less weight. So in that sense, they've picked out the right race for him.
Talk us through his form lines.
I think it's a little bit like the discussion earlier on Lord Shiva or even Mardusa. It's more about the manner in which they're winning than the opposition that they're beating.
Yep.
Because he threw away the race on debut behind Cantrix. He got caught 3 deep the trip. He did a lot wrong. He threw away the race second up. He missed the kick, got too far back. Fire the Lot was off and gone. He still did things wrong, but they rode him like the best horse in the race from the breeze at a mile, still switched on and switched off up the home straight, beat Queen Aria by 3. And then he went straight from a maiden to a Class 3. He again over-raced, did things wrong, but ran past them with a bit of ease and a bit of arrogance late. They take the shades off, which I think is probably a good thing for him coming up in grade because he's still over-racing really badly. But he looks like a 3-year-old that's going to win plenty of races.
How did you assess his form lines coming into what is his toughest test to date, TC?
Well, last start, beating Major Mario was okay during the week. Fancy Red was able to win on Thursday, so that enhances the form lines a little bit. My probably greatest concern, 5th run first prep isn't sort of a setup that I like. He's probably getting to the end of a preparation. I dare say he's done a pretty good job thus far. Barrier number 13, I thought he'd be a long way off them. He's going to have a big task, and like we've been racing on Pinjarra the last couple of times and it's been a wet track. Now we get on top of a good track. I think there's a scenario where we can see it being a little bit difficult to make ground, and if that's the case, looking at 280 around the place, $3, I think he's too short for mine.
Sorry, can I just jump in there? In terms of when you say he's going to be a long way off them, typically when the back markers are a long way off them, it's because you've got a strong speed and they're rolling along and stretching out. Where's the speed in this race? Because I started to sell myself on the fact that if there's little to no speed, all of a sudden they're probably bunched up and that 3 and 4 deep moving line becomes the place to be.
I thought Amjad can show speed. Snazzler's positive enough, more than enough. I thought now second up could be positive. Romeo was better last start when ridden up on speed. I thought there was enough tempo.
What do we do with Arcadia Park then, or what does CJP elect to do with Arcadia Park third up from that gate? Does he have a look, or does he just take his medicine and try to get the right bum to follow?
I think he just comes out neutral and then assesses.
Yep.
That's why I'm starting to look at it thinking Arcadia Park's likely 3 deep moving line. Our Paladin Owl, likely 3 deep moving line. It probably does start to look like some of the bigger fancies in the marketplace might actually be up the centre. So it starts to look more like a race that could turn into a Swoopers affair.
If I was to give you two gentlemen an ID card, do you want our Paladin Owl or do you want Arcadia Park?
I want our Paladin Owl.
Okay. TC, do you have a view?
I'll go the other way, just for the sake of an argument.
Okay.
Arcadia Park, I think that form line last start's pretty good behind Forever Boy. Again, I'd maybe reading the race a little bit differently to Scott, but just gate number 15 for Arcadia Park, I thought was a little bit of an issue. How far back was he going to get? So I've bumped him down the order a little bit. I've actually gone with Snazzler on top. Now, I would have liked maybe a soft 5 or a soft 6 to enhance his chances, but I think he's going pretty well. 2 starts ago, had no luck, and then got to the line pretty well behind Famous Dane last start, and Lord Gannica's fourth in that race was first encounter. So that form line reads okay from from that draw, I thought Jared Noski would be close enough to maybe make his run when he needed to be, and we'll just need to hold off the swoopers late. To beat number 5, More Than Enough, in a similar vein, I think can improve second up and back on top of the ground helps. 6, Arcadia Park next best, and then 11, Our Paladinel, the progressive 3-year-olds, 1, 5, 6 and 11 in a race where I think there's about 8 winning chances.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Scott?
6 for me, Arcadia Park. No idea for the life of me where he gets to, but I think that he's tracking up in the right direction, and Mickey G's yard is just unstoppable. 11, Our Paladinel. My concern now is not about his ability or even the map. It's just the price point. He's in too short, I thought, in a race that's got a lot of chances. 10, Rally the Troops. Is barrier number 1 going to be a poison chalice? Could it be a sort of stacked up affair at the 600 and he's getting shuffled back behind heels? And 5, More Than Enough. Thought, like TC, he could actually roll forward today and take up a nice prominent spot there. 6, 11, 10, 5, but other winning chances in there as well.
Yeah, it's a good even race, this one, the Grad Mile. I sided up also with 6, Arcadia Park, and I'm actually tipping a Michael Grantham Quinella here. 13, My Idol in for second, was nice and strong at the back end of that mile most recently. 5, More Than Enough, who's going to be all over the speed, and 11, Our Paladinel. I just can't get him anywhere near that price. 6, 13, 5 and 11, Matt.
So TC has gone Snazzler number 1, 5, 6, 11. Scott is with 6, Arcadia Park, 11, 10 and 5. Diggers agrees with 6 from 13, 5 and 11. Over now to the 5th of the day at 3:15. First leg of the main quaddie. Tab Touch place a same race multi-handicap over 1,300. Emergencies are not required here. They are numbers 17 onwards. And Decoration is at 41, 34 Cross Statement, 13 into 950 Simply Thinkin'. Thermosphere Lad is at 950 from 11, out to 20 Boab Boy. Roaming Danger at 41, Inner Point to 750 History Won't Care. Cruise to Victory 26, out to $8 Lombardina. On Plain Air at 7, out from 6, 13 for Snippy Sean. Regal Service at $7 after touching 750. 13, Uncle Jared. 18 into 8, God's Gate. Red Dwarf at 126. Run, Paddy, run, 21.
7 of the 16 are at single figures, but nothing shorter than $7. This is as wide open as it gets, Scott.
It is really competitive and really good. It's got clashing form lines. It's got winning form. It's got nice trialers. It's got a capacity lineup with speed, in close, out wide. It's got everything. It's a really good race.
How did you view this one, TC? Because I think, as Scott quite rightly mentioned, when you're doing your form for this, you're going back, you're hitting refresh, you're looking in at another window because you need to see which form reference that one is, and then you're trying to mesh them all together.
I needed a laydown, for sure, after getting through this race, but I actually landed on Regal Service, who I think's going extremely well. Early on in his career, I think he was the lay of the day for both of you gentlemen last start, and just got pipped behind On Plain Air, where Clint Johnson Porter did have cover, but he was 3 wide on that occasion, and Lucy was able to just find that run through the middle, and saving that ground was probably the difference in the end. Now gets a weight swing. Scott's mentioned how much speed is in this race, so I think Regal Service will find himself maybe at best midfield, maybe just back of midfield, and from that position in the run, I think he's going to get every chance with the blinkers going on up to 1,300 metres to be strong at the end of that, and I think he's quite a nice each-way play for mine.
Yeah, well, I think that's a fair call, and I suspect also, Scott, for a horse with his racing pattern, gets the shades, he might be a little bit slow to step, but it's actually a perfect barrier for him. You know, he jumps from barrier 7 now after the scratching of Duke of Wellington, so he's got that midfield draw, and hopefully he's able to give Pat Carberry options here.
Looks like he's going to work his way through the grades. The effort in defeat behind American Escape was luckless. Probably run that race 10 times. You'd have to say that if he gets the gap through, he probably wins that more often than not. And last time out, yes, we potentially even got a little bit lucky there, lay of the day territory, because he got no luck and still was coming
huge, wasn't
with
he,
50
really?
metres to go. I'm actually starting to warm to this race as potentially a play of the day type scenario. As wide open as it is, I'm looking at it thinking that there are 3 main horses that I'm focused on, being History Won't Care, who I loved the first up win of and always had time for, and now that Sunny Honey comes out, places in a 72 plus, I've got no issues with the form line. Regal Service for all the reasons given and the set of shades, and On Plein Air because she's just returned in such good order. I can back all three of those in a Dutch bet, take $2.50. Now, sounds short enough, but I've got three very good winning chances. So I'm going to be 7, 12 and 10, Dutch them up at $2.50. And then I've got 9 Lombardina in for fourth off the back of a nice trial from a nice draw. 7, 12, 10, 9.
7, 12, 10 and 9. CJP was sport for choice here, TC. He's opted to go with History Won't Care. He could have ridden Regal Service and he did trial Lombardina.
Yeah, you can understand why he's gone with History Won't Care. We've been sort of waiting for this horse to really string it together. Just hasn't had a crack at it. I think maybe 3 runs has been his longest preparation. So hopefully that changes and we can get him through his grades and maybe into a higher grade, because we've always thought he's had a fair bit of ability, but also fitting into that boat, I think, is Regal Service on the ability side of things. So I went the 12 to beat 7, History Won't Care. Number 10, Next Best on Plain Air for all the reasons Scott's outlined. And then I've thrown in number 14, God's Gate. I think there's plenty of pressure here, but I thought he was in the wrong part of the track last start. We'll align through that raconteur run, and then we go back before that, ran second, a Sun Bronze, which is sort of Uncle Gerard form. Platinum Shots come out of that race, so the form looks okay. We'll just maybe need a cheap sectional somewhere. 12, 7, 10 and 14.
I love the trial of Lombardina. I thought it was really good, and from that gate today, I think Chris Parnham is going to be able just to put this mare in a perfect spot. She's got a good turn of foot, and what we saw last time in was not only did she go through her grades and elevate, she was very, very dynamic, fresh. And I think off the back of that trial, when CJP didn't move on her one little bit, decent enough time, she appreciates good ground. I think she's worth an each-way play. So 9, Lombardina on top from 7, History Won't Care. Love the way that he attacked the line to gun down Sunny Honey. 12, Regal Service. And 13, Uncle Gerard. 9, 7, 12 and 13. Off the back of a very wide-open graduation mile. That is a very wide-open graduation 1300, Matt.
And at $7.50, History Won't Care, number 7, is Scott's tip over 12, 10, 9. And TC's gone Regal Service, number 12, 7, 10 and 14. Digby with 9, Lombardina ahead of 7, 12 and 13. So we're up to race 6. I'll throw in a time call. It's 25 minutes to 9, and we have 3 races left. Bayzid is at 51 with Outspoken Lad, 16 for Sunny Honey, Tycoon Harry at 21, 34 Capricorn Man, 7 into 5.50 My Hidden Universe, $20 Celebrity Prince, Massimone is at 13, out to 9.50 Objectify, Horcrux into 4.60 from $6.50, 91 Mars Mission, Want a Winner at $3.40 from 4, 21 for Jelly Can Run, and at $13 Supernatural. Bottom 3 are out.
Okay, thanks, Matt. I'd like to spend a bit of time on this race, gents, because I think it's a pretty wide-open 1,200-metre event, but it's a good competitive one. We get to see Want a Winner back at the races, TC, but I've just got a funny feeling that's a little bit deeper than just him.
Oh, for sure. I think there's 5 or 6 winning chances you can make the case for, but we'll start with Want a Winner. He should find himself in the right spot in this race from that draw with Chris Parnham on, and that most recent trial was outstanding. It was the morning's fastest. William Pike gave him a little bit of a push along up the straight. I think he could have won if he really went full bore. And the main thing that I noticed, Horcrux out in front who trialled really, really well as well. Just Want a Winner towered over him.
Yeah, he's a big, strong
horse.
Is there any concern with Want a Winner? And he can get quite fierce. He hits the bridle quite hard.
Yes, there has to be, especially at 320 in a race where I think we can make the case for 5 or 6 of them. But I think also he's probably got the most talent in the race.
Yeah, he looks
from
like
what we've seen thus far.
Yeah, we've only seen him the twice, Scott, but we've seen him at the trials, and he always trials well, and he's taken that to the races.
I think they probably come out nice and neutral, just knowing that Tycoon Harry will go forward. Potentially the stablemate Capricorn Man comes across, and then Horcrux, if he gets up on the pace, rolls along, and then they're all going to have to cop the pressure that we're expecting from My Hidden Universe, because if he jumps half with them, Brandon Louis will charge around the outside.
I think he'll roll. Yeah. I think he'll roll across, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. He's drawn barrier 16 or 14 of 14, maximum field size. 14 of 14, and yet you could see a world in which he misses the kick by half a length, whips around all of them and pours it on to try and cross. Because that's sort of how they want to ideally ride the horse, and how much belief they have in his ability. So I think that they really roll along here, which is why I think for Want to Winner, maybe it offsets that a little bit.
Yeah, okay. No, fair point. My Hidden Universe, he was beaten the other day behind Desert Whisper over the 1,000, but he wasn't disgraced, was he?
And we talked earlier about data and time figures. They absolutely smashed the clock in that event. Broke 58 seconds on a soft 5, and he never gave it away.
No.
And that's, as much as we said going into that event, and in hindsight maybe shouldn't have tipped into him, he's not a 1,000-metre horse.
No.
They got away with it first up,
Yep.
and then they didn't get away with it second up.
Against a genuine
1,000-metre horse.
Genuine 1,000-metre horse, fast filly. Bunbury jumped, ran and burnt them off their legs. As much as he's probably better suited with some sting out of the ground, he's not a good track duffer. He can gallop on top of the ground, this horse.
Just my problem was with what Scott's outlined. I just can't see him getting a really economical run. And against some talented horses here, he's
going to be vulnerable late.
Yeah, exactly right. In lower grade, he might be able to just burn across and just be too good for them and too strong for them, but he's got some pretty good horse flesh chasing him.
Sunny Honey, you referenced this horse earlier. Scott obviously was beaten by History Won't Care, but then wasn't disgraced in better company than this most recently.
Looks 3 deep all day. Drawn outside Tycoon Harry.
Yep.
Probably doesn't have the aggression in him to go when My Hidden Universe burns around them.
What do we do with Horcrux, who was in that trial with Want to Winner?
I think, look, unless My Hidden Universe misses it horribly and is forced to go back, Horcrux will have to win off speed today, won't he? Or not off speed, but won't
Not
be
leading.
Yeah, won't be against the fence.
No, I don't think he'll be against the fence. No.
So he's won on debut from the breeze, and he's led and won against the fence at Ascot in a grad. Is it a little bit different setup for him here today? Tucking in.
Probably. Couldn't have tried much better, though. Having said that, and then first up, his preparation before last, he was 1.5 lengths off West Star in a Belgravia.
Yeah.
Now, albeit finding the fence.
Yes.
At Ascot. But I think there's talent there, and I think what we're coming to learn about Horcrux is his fresh runs are his best runs.
Yep. Gets pike today, gets blinkers on, which he didn't have in the trial. So he's a live hope. What did you do here, TC, with your numbers?
Well, the price got me again, Supernatural. I've been sucked in once again. Got sucked in last start behind Desert Whisper in a race that probably wasn't going to set up for over 1,000 metres. Now, we spoke about the speed. Hopefully it's just breakneck speed because she's going to be back in the field. She's got 54 kilos. Back on top of the ground is a tick, into 1,200 metres is a tick. Clearly, how far off them she's going to be is the worry, but at $15 we don't need to have too much on. To beat 12, Want to Winner, loved the trial, talented horse. I think the set up here, first up's good. 10, Horcrux, I think he goes really well fresh. And then number 9, Objectify, always had time for her. I thought her last start win was really good. She sprinted really well off a fair tempo. She probably gets a tempo that's going to better suit her today. 14, 12, 10 and 9.
14, 12, 10 and 9. We didn't touch on Supernatural. TC has. Do you have her in your numbers, Scott?
No, I don't. I'm a believer in Want to Winner. I think he's very good. So 12 for me, Want to Winner. 10, Horcrux. Very nervous about him. He just looks like he's going to find a beautiful spot in a high-speed, high-pressure race. 6, My Hidden Universe. Just wary that he's going to have to do too much work in the run. And 9, Objectify, meets Tycoon Harry a kilo better, having beaten him last start, and is a mare that has good point-to-point acceleration. 12, 10, 6, 9.
I settled on My Hidden Universe here. I take your point, guys, in regards to he's likely to have to do some work, but he's a big, strong boy, and he won't sit down at the back end of the 1,200. He has met with support. He does have a good racing profile. Admittedly, though, he's going to need to see Brandon Louis if he can get a cheap fraction or two, but if he doesn't, he will be vulnerable late. If he can just get a bit of a breather at some stage, I think he can be nice and strong at the back end of this race. It's a good race. So I went 6, My Hidden Universe. From 14, Supernatural comes out of that same form reference behind Desert Whisper down there at Bunbury. 10, Horcrux fresh, and also 12, Want to Winner. Very, very talented horse. Looking forward to seeing him back at the races. 6, 14, 10 and 12. Matt?
Taylor's with Want to Winner at 340, number 12, 10, 6, 9. Scott has gone the way of 14, and that's Supernatural at the $13. 12, start again. Taylor's gone 14, 12, 10, 9. 12, 10, 6, 9 from Scott, and 6, 14, 10 and 12 from Digby.
Welcome back to Inside Running for Winning Rupert, standing at Geisel Park Stud for $6,600.
It's only the beginning, but I've already gone and lost my mind. I feel like making daisy chains.
Welcome back to Inside Running. You're with Digby, Beacham, Scott Embry and Taylor Courtland. It's 8:45. We are up to the feature on Belmont Guineas Day, and that is the listed Belmont Guineas over the mile, race 7 at 4:20. 12 quick cookie is a scratching.
Wind in the line at 16, 440 Elite Missile, Opportunistic 440 into 370. Redback Flyer at 13 out from 10, 34 King Hit, 5th Essence 17, 330 into 280 Storyville. Earthstorm 14 into 850, Snipperando 71, Showlass at 61, 121. I Can Do It On My Own, and down to Impressive Jewel at 71.
Okay, we touched on this race earlier, guys, and one horse that we probably didn't mention was Wind in the Line, who gets the shades, was pretty good at the back end of that 1,400-metre raconteur. Certainly better set up at the weights for him today under the conditions of this race. TC, can you mount an argument for Wind in the Line?
Well, I think the starting point is, and I'll get, Scott, your thoughts, the speed map, the tempo of this race, because a lot of the main fancies, Wind in the Line you'd think goes back, Elite Missile will go back, Opportunistic you'd think wouldn't be any closer than midfield. Storyville's the one drawn closer, probably by default lands closest to the speed.
Earthstorm, you wouldn't have thought would be there. Redback Flyer.
What do they do with Redback Fly? Because it looks like the Aquanita is going to be right in his wheelhouse.
I think he's an Aquanita Belmont Classic operator.
He's a very good horse, and Michael's done a terrific job with him, and they're going to have a lot of fun with him as he matures. But I think in time, the mile's not going to be his go.
Bars on the front as well, and probably not at this level. The mile could be his go, but he could get away with it if he went the sort of Al Paladinal direction and took on the older horses in a grad.
Yep.
But these are pretty sharp.
Yeah.
These 3-year-olds. Well, I mean, the speed is Showlass, the filly. She'll roll you along. How much she'll kick into the home straight? Hopefully for Dave Caterino, it's plenty.
Yeah.
But she'll put a bit of speed and pressure into the race.
I made mention when we did the early look on Thursday on the Sports Daily, TC, and I take Scott's point about Storyville and how she perhaps wasn't suited by the condition of that Bunbury surface. I concur with that, but I've also got an alternate view in she was at the races fresh and she was disappointed for a run, and I just wonder whether she was really screwed down second up, whether she was just perhaps a little bit big inside. I'm not doubting Grant and Alana, but I'm just wondering today, third up, proven on top of the ground clearly, proven at the trip, whether you're going to see the best version of Storyville today.
Well, again, we touched on it earlier, different programs. If you're a purchaser of racing subscriptions or softwares, the sectional data that came through at my end said that by that race number 7 of the day at Bunbury, it was officially a soft 5, but it was racing like a 7. So all of a sudden it looked like it really did. The time suggested it deteriorated really badly, really quickly.
And that's what I'm sort of saying. You've got a horse who's perhaps not screwed down, second up, all of a sudden, having to get through testing ground.
Well, it's more for me now. I'm selling myself on the idea and making an excuse for her. And some people will say you're going out of your way to make an excuse for her, and I understand that. But I'm probably looking at it thinking that you look on the form guide, it says she's finished 2.5 lengths off them on a soft 5. How big of a difference is it between a soft 5 and a good 4? Whereas I'm using that data that I'm paying for to sort of say, well, actually, I look at it and it should say soft 7 back to a good 4.
Yeah, and now she drops considerably in weight as well, so she meets some of her opposition today far better at the weights, TC.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we've spoken about, of the key fancies and probably the winning chances, she's going to get the first crack at them. They're going to have to run her down. I think at some stage in the straight, she'll be in front. It's whether or not the others can get past her.
And the 2 wins over the mile, they've been pretty handy mile races for 3-year-olds, it must be said, Scott. They're not just graduation miles.
No. And I was with her in the raconteur, and yes, she raced below what we were hoping to see, but with the 3 kilo drop in weights that she gets on top of the ground on a good 4 today is the no excuses run.
I agree with that.
7, Storyville. I'll stick with her. 2, Elite Missile. 3, Opportunistic. That's the most intriguing part about that raconteur, was because they came sweeping down the outside in what turned into be simply the best going in the race. 6, Fifth Essence. The day that he led, he got a bit lost, so potentially from barrier 1 they allow Showlass to go, and then it'll be up to Lucy to get him out and around heels, because he likes a bit of movement, likes a bit of moving room, should I say. 7, 2, 3, 6.
7, 2, 3 and 6 for Scott in the Belmont Guineas. So he is with the favourite Storyville TC. You?
I'll stick with Elite Missile. Didn't do anything wrong last time out. Just clearly different weight conditions now, and probably if you get to see the best of Storyville, is he able to spot her a little bit of a head start and run past her? That's clearly the question mark, but I think at the price you're getting close to each way now, and you can play that way. Number 2, Elite Missile to beat. 7, Storyville. 3, Opportunistic, and I've thrown in 8, Earthstorm, who I think this preparation is going quite well. 2, 7, 3 and 8.
Same 4 numbers as you, Taylor, just a little bit different in order. I am with 7, Storyville, to win her 3rd black type race at a mile today, 3rd up. I think she gets an ideal opportunity and just map advantage over Elite Missile and Opportunistic, who I do have in for 2nd and 3rd respectively. Love the way that they savage the line in the raconteur. Opportunistic has genuine upside. And 8, Earthstorm on the spin. Didn't get a lot of luck last week. She seems to be that sort of filly who is devoid of good fortune in her races with that racing pattern, but I think she's got a good race in her. 7, 2, 3 and 8 in the feature, Matt.
Scott has selected Storyville, number 7, 2, 3, 6, with TC going 2, Elite Missile, 7, 3, 8. Digby with 7, Storyville to beat 2, 3 and 8. The 8th and last at 8 minutes to 7, Bovine Stakes at Pinjarra Park, 5th July, handicap 1400. Scratchings are Zip. And Benji's is at 34, out to 14, Speed Dream without Reg 21. In half a point to 750, Woburn Gold. Royal Toronado's at $15, 31, Russian Sniper. Pom Master out a point to 650, 12 into 9, Kelvinator. Colima is 7 into 550, 14 into 8, Stylish Lord. Dracana 750 into 550, Missile Storm. 18.51, Bellini Miss, and Cherry Can Run at 26.
If you haven't tipped a winner leading into this race, TC, you're entitled to be in the fetal position.
Don't come to me.
It's tough, isn't it? It's a tough finish.
No idea. I potted Kalima last time.
Yes.
Said she lost the trust and she won. Now she's straight back in.
Oh, so
you're on top.
You've got.
You've reached into the bin and she picked her up again.
Picked her up, dusted her off, and said, "You're a sweetheart."
Yep. Well, if that doesn't highlight how much of no idea I have about this race, I'm not sure what will. Oh, it's just all over the place.
Yeah, it is.
It's very, very tough. The last, if you're trying to get out, probably turn to Peter O'Neill at Cannington.
Do you have a firm handle on this, Scotty?
No, I don't. But what I am excited for is the quaddie today. It's difficult work, and even working out which leg you want to narrow up. In the end, for me, it was the Belmont Guineas that I had to narrow up, but the other 3 are very wide and very open.
What do you do with Woburn Gold today? Because I think she's going particular well. I'd love to see her when she can get a toe in, but she's not going to have that option today.
I didn't see a reason not to continue to follow her.
Yeah.
It is a little bit tricky. Obviously, it's been re-handicapped just 1 kilo, which for her is the difference between 58.5 and 59.5. Not ideal at the end of 1,400 metres. But, gee, she's going good.
She's going well. She was terrific the other day.
Well, she couldn't have done anything more first up. By the time that you got there that day at Pinjarra and you couldn't make any ground at all, her race was over by 2:30 in the afternoon.
I know it was a day when they were running time, but you still have to be a pretty handy galloper to running 32.3 for your final 6 TC, and that's what she did fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we know she's a handy galloper, don't we? She's very, very good. Look, Mike, I have a little bit of a question mark around the 59.5. I think some of her best performances have been down in the weight. She's clearly not a massive mare, and you say it's only 1 kilo, but I think over the 1,400 metres it might just be the difference in a wide open race.
Righto, you've got the ball and you can run with it. You've flagged your intentions to put Kalima on top, is that correct?
Yeah, number 9 on top to beat 7, Pondmaster coming out of some good 3-year-old racing. Number 12, Missile Storm, I thought was the value at nearly 20 to 1. I think he can improve second up and be a little bit more positive from that draw. And then next best, number 4, Woburn Gold, 9, 7, 12 and 4. But I wish everyone all the best.
Okay, Scott.
4 following through Woburn Gold. I think she can settle even a little bit closer today. 7, Pond Master, like all the 3-year-olds taking on the older horses today. 2, Speed Dream.
Yeah.
If you told me 6 months ago that Speed Dream would nearly beat Love and War in a 78 plus, I would have laughed you down the road. But he's just going so good, this horse. And 9 in Kalima. Not convinced whether barrier number 1 helps her or not. And I didn't think there was a great deal of speed apart from Kelvinator sliding across, so she might be in a tricky spot. But on her day, as we saw last start, she is very good. 4, 7, 2, 9, and special mention to Without Reg. He does not run a mile. 7 days back to 1,400 metres. Previous run behind Love and War. Outstanding. 4, 7, 2, 9.
2, 4, 5, 9. I'm actually with Speed Dream here. That run behind Love and War was terrific. He's got weight and he doesn't have his economical barrier to work with today, but going undeniably well with the old boys. So 2 on top from 4, Woburn Gold. 5, Royal Toronado. I like the fact that he's out to 1,400 metres third up, and 9, Kalima. 2, 4, 5 and 9. Matt?
Scott is with number 4, Woburn Gold, 729. Taylor is with 9, Kalima, 712 4. Digby with 2, Speed Dream, 4, 5 and 9.
Okay, the first at Rose Hill was fast approaching, guys, so we'll get the best bets, the lays and also the plays. Scott, you can open the batting.
Yeah, without repossession, I didn't have a lot to work with. I'm going to be race 6, number 12 as the best. Want a Winner.
Want a Winner is Scott's best. TC.
Kick it off early, race 1, number 1, Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva for TC. Okay, your lay, TC.
Race 4, number 11, Our Paladin Owl.
I concur with that, Scott.
Yeah, copy-paste.
Copy-paste for you.
This will work out well.
Yes, it will when Our Paladin bolts in now. The play. Scott.
I'm playing race number 7. As I said, it's a 3-way Dutch backing History Won't Care, On Plein Air and Regal Service. $2.50 about one of those 3 to win.
Okay, I'm also race 5. I'm Lombardina each way, so taking an alternate view, but it's a very intriguing 1,300 metre event. Taylor Courtland, your play, please.
We've all attacked race 5. Race 1, number 1, Lord Shiva. Into race 5, number 12, Regal Service each way.
Okay, Regal Service each way there, race 5, number 12. All right, now, as we said, Rose Hill fast approaching, Scott. Any winners at Broome and or Kalgoorlie that we should be paying attention to?
Show some respect for Roban today as well.
Roban
please,
today.
I think Zadar Rock can win at Roban. Backs up off 7 days, drops 9 kilos.
Yes.
doesn't
Broome
happen often.
tomorrow, tricky, but Magna Burma's going particularly well.
Yes.
And I like On Just Terms, Peter Fernie's feel. In fact, I think Peter Fernie, there you go, I think he'll train the card tomorrow.
You think he'll train the card?
I'll put the mocker on him.
There you go. He'll be happy with you. Scott, have a great day. Thanks very much for your time. Taylor Courtland, appreciate you going above and beyond as always. And Matt McDermott, thank you again for steering this ship.
TC, good luck today too. Collingwood taking on West Coast.
Yeah, hopefully cover the line.
Did you give your best?
Yes, I did.
You did.
Storyville. I might not have given my best.
No, I don't think
Apologies,
you did.
Matt. Storyville.
I needed a race number.
Race 7.
Number
7.
7.
Hosting's gone to his head, Matt.
Q.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's got to steer the ship.
Yeah. Look at that. We got out before 9 o'clock.
Certainly did. Well done.
Darren's back next Saturday.
Under budget.
Thanks for listening to Inside Running for Winning Rupert. Find him at geiselpark.com.au.